Hello friends and welcome back. This is part 2 of my little video series showing my construction process of my Halloween costume, which is like a witchy eyeball dress thing. If you didn't actually see the first video, you can go back and watch that one, which goes over on how I constructed the dress and started with the capelet. And now this video, the second video out of 3, is going to go over how I made the witch hat. So let's go ahead and get started. For the witch hat, I actually started out using a thick EVA foam mat, but I failed miserably. So then I opted for fusible foam. Using Kenpatsu Cosplay's witch hat pattern, I began cutting out all the pieces from the foam. The brim is just one piece, but for the actual hat, you need to cut out and mirror each pattern piece. Instead of adding extra seam allowance to the foam and sewing it together the usual way, I just used a zigzag stitch to join the pieces together like so. And of course, messed up the very first piece and had to seam rip it, but you get the idea. I continued joining the pieces together this way until both sides of the hat were all joined. For the tail end of the hat, I sewed both pieces together with a regular straight stitch. This foam will add the perfect structure for the hat. I did a quick test fit to make sure everything was looking the way that I wanted it to. I love it already. Now we are going to cut out all the pieces again, but this time using our fabric of choice, this slimy green looking cotton we used earlier for the accents of the dress. For this step, you will need to add seam allowance since we will be sewing this up the more traditional way. I added about 1/2 inch of seam allowance all around. For the brim, I cut out a black lining to contrast, then pinned all the way around the sides and sewed it up, similar to how we did the capelet earlier, and leaving the middle hole open. Now that it's all sewed up and ironed out nice and flat, we can get ready to add the foam structure. I inserted the foam into the opening that we have in the middle of the hat and then maneuvered it around until it was nice and smooth. Once everything looked the way that I wanted it to, I pinned up the opening to encase the foam inside. You can do a simple basting stitch for this part if you'd like, since it will be sewn together later and attached to the other part of the hat. Continue cutting out the rest of the pattern pieces in the slimy fabric and don't forget that seam allowance. I marked the original fit of the pattern to sew along so I would be sure it would fit nice and snug around the foam structure. I turned it right side out and ironed it nice and flat. Now it's time to add the foam. Now it's all really starting to come together. I did a basting stitch around the edge to prevent the foam from moving around. Now it's time to attach the top part of the hat to the brim. I pinned it together, but the brim ended up not fitting perfectly with the hat, so I made a little dart in the back, which I think added a cute little flip to the brim, so I'm here for it. Most would probably hand sew this, but me being me, I opted to force it through my sewing machine. And yes, I did get stabbed quite a few times doing it this way. But hey, it worked. I carefully sewed the two pieces together, leaving about a ½ inch of seam allowance. Since it is a bit bulky and awkward with so many layers of foam, I was very careful as I was sewing so I didn't break a needle or something. Ta-da! Look how cute it looks! I added some ribbon for the hat details, which I was very close to just hot gluing on, but in the end, I decided to continue sewing everything. I made an opening and used my super fancy awl to hide the ribbon within the seam, and then sewed it back up. For the top ribbon, I just did a simple hand-sewn tack in 3 different places to keep it from slipping. Once all the hand sewing is done, the hat is mostly complete. In the third and final video, I'll be going over how I decorated the hat and made custom buttons using my Brother scan and cut machine and heat transfer vinyl. I'll also be showing you the full reveal dressed as my original character that I came up with in my head while designing this dress. I hope you're excited. See you soon!